Hello, and welcome to the Mental Health Attention Initiative. I'm your host for the Talk for Help podcast. Before we begin today's episode, I want to provide a content warning. This episode contains discussions of suicide and self-harm. If these topics might cause discomfort, please listen at your own discretion. Take a break if needed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Today, I'm honored to have the founder of the Little Heart Project as our guest. This project encouraged individuals to leave small knit or crocheted hearts, each with a note of encouragement in public places. Through this project, she is helping spread hope and support to those who need it most. We'll be discussing the mission of the Little Heart Project, its impact on communities, and how small acts of kindness can make a meaningful difference in the lives of others. Thank you for being here. I would like to begin by having you introduce yourself and tell me about the Little Heart Project and how it got started.
My name is Kathleen Jenson. The Little Heart Project is small crocheted hearts with a note of encouragement attached that you just leave in public places for other people to find. At a base level, it's a random act of kindness. Beyond that, we are trying to reduce the stigma around mental health and hopefully prevent suicides.
That's amazing. Thank you for creating this project. I think it's really important to show that there is still some kindness in this world, and just one encouraging message can really make someone's day. And I read that the project was inspired by the Peloton Heart Project in Texas. So how did learning about the project shape the vision for the Little Heart Project?
My therapist showed me a heart someone had given her from this organization down in Texas. And it really wasn't to say, like, go do something with your life. It's just she knew I crocheted. She knew I was artistic and creative. And so as my healing journey is up and down, I would think, oh, maybe I'll make hearts and mail them down to Texas. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll make hearts and just tag them here and leave them around where I live. And then as more time progressed, I wondered if it would be more impactful if this project was tied to a local story, because when this started 2.5 years ago, I thought it was going to be me doing this where I live in Western Wisconsin, and that was it. So we did think that it might be more impactful if it was tied to a local story. So we just started dreaming about what does it take to create this? And so we came up with our own tags. Our oldest daughter created a website for us and set up social media for us. And just started thinking again that it would be me and maybe a couple other people doing that here in this town. And if it brightened one person's day, that was the goal. And it's become so much more than that.
I love that. I really think that one encouraging message can make someone's day. Some people might think that something small can't make an impact, but I believe that it can. I would love to know if you could share some memorable stories of moments that show the impact these small acts of kindness have had on people.
Yeah. Well, when we first started, I had no intention of ever speaking to anyone, to any groups of people. And as I was trying to find people to make hearts when we first were trying to get started, because if there's no hearts, then there would be no project. So I was this obsessed person. Every person I met, like, do you crochet? I bet you know someone that crochets. And someone at work told me they saw a news story, somebody at a local university, some club was doing something with yarn. And so I just Googled and got transferred email, and finally got to a person who runs these volunteer events at a local university. And he said, we'd love to tie tags onto hearts for you. Fantastic. So as we're just talking and I'm trying to explain this project that really wasn't even in existence yet, and I was trying to figure out how do I explain this to people. And I shared just a tiny bit of my personal story. And he said, would you share that with the group? No. This is going to be a group of 250 people. And he wasn't pushy or making me do something I didn't want to know. But as we kept talking, he just kept asking, would you share this with the group? I really feel like someone needs to hear it. So finally, I said I would do that. So because we weren't even really a project yet, we were just being birthed, I didn't have any stories to share. So I just told my personal story, and it was maybe 5 minutes long, maybe 10 minutes long, and just shared my personal story and how you could get involved. And then all 250 people are dispersed throughout the community to go volunteer, and 6 college kids stayed and helped me tie tags onto hearts. And we just talked about, where are you from? What are you studying? What do you like to do in your free time? Whatever they wanted to talk about for 2 hours. And then everybody else comes back from the community where they're volunteering. You kind of share about your experience and have lunch together, and then everyone's dismissed. And before everyone left, one of the people in my group pulled me aside and she said, Kathleen, I just wanted to tell you that last night I almost killed myself. And she pulled up her sleeves to show me dozens and dozens and dozens of fresh cuts up and down both forearms. And she said, and after being here today and hearing your story and being able to talk with you, she said, I feel better. Wow. Had no idea. And I have learned since then, I've done 30 or 35 different presentations to all size groups. And I have found that by me being brave enough to share my story makes other people feel safe enough to share their story. And that is how we heal, is by talking about it. A couple other stories I can share with you is this summer. Well, let me back up a little bit. So our project has spread across the world remarkably through social media, I don't know how it all works, but people across the world are doing this. We did an event here in town with a local college, a summer league for college fast pitch softball players. And they had a mental health awareness night at the ball field. So we partnered with them and I put a request out on social media for people to make hearts in their team colors. And in 4 weeks, I got from 11 people around the state, 9,000 hearts sent to us. And while all those were being made, I was organizing local people to tie the tags onto these hearts. And then my husband and I bagged them up so that we were going to give away bags of 20 hearts in all the different blues and yellows that were made. And that's part of what this is the more people that get involved, the more lives that are touched. So there was people on the other side of the state making hearts that were touched by this. All the local people tying tags on are touched. All the people we handed the hearts out to touched. So at that event, there was a couple thousand people in attendance, and we had a table set up where people would come in. And the very first people that came in was a family from about 2 hours away, mom, dad, teenage brother and sister. And the daughter was singing the national anthem. And they were all excited to be here for that. And they're standing at our table and the mom says, so tell me about, why are you here? So I give her my elevator pitch and her eyes tear up. And when that happens, I just wait. Maybe they want to share something. Maybe they're ready to leave, not talk to me anymore. Maybe they just have a sad moment. Whatever that is for them, that's fine. And the mom said, I lost my nephew to suicide. She's got tears running down her face. And I said, I'm so sorry. What was his name? Tell me about him. And then I gave her a bunch of hearts. I said, you just take these home with you and you just put them wherever you go in honor of your nephew. That's how it works. It's that simple. And then whoever finds that heart is touched. At the end of the evening, I just kind of walked the stands the whole night, just visited with people about anything, whatever they want to talk about. And at the end of the night, we're still passing out hearts because I did not want to bring any of these home, with them all gone. And a lady came up to me and she had a team polo shirt on, so she was an employee. And she said, I'm the public address announcer. And they had me throw out the first pitch for the softball game because that's when they read your bio. So she tells us that, I'm not sure if you could tell, when I was introducing you, reading your bio, I had a hard time getting through that. And she said, when I was done, I had to turn my microphone off and I sat and I cried for a couple of minutes. So her eyes are all teary. And I just wait. And now she's got tears pouring down her face. And she says, I lost my best friend to suicide. And that same night, her boyfriend took his own life. So sorry. Tell me their names. Here's a bunch of hearts. You just put them wherever you go in honor of your friend and her boyfriend. And those are the kinds of things that it's just, you never know who's hurting, right? There's hurting people everywhere. And so by putting your heart at a grocery store, at Target, at the park, wherever you go, there are hurting people everywhere. And the right person's going to find it. There are 144 different sayings on our tags, and I kind of chuckle when people find the perfect one. They find their heart out in the wild, and it's the perfect saying for the day. And that's just how it works, I guess. Yesterday, I got a message from one of the softball players from that night, and she goes to college in Louisville, and she had just taken her hearts that she was given, because we gave hearts to the players too, and her and a friend had put them all over Louisville. And she very much wants to get involved and is finding people to crochet hearts and wants to get our hearts put into businesses. And the thing is, I think you touched on this earlier, like, why does it work? I don't know. I don't know why it works. It's so simple that it probably shouldn't work, but I think it does work because it is so simple. Because anyone, anywhere can do it. Our website is a pattern to crochet the hearts. There's also a PDF of our tags. So you can just do it. We don't require any record keeping from anyone else doing this around the world because this is supposed to be healing and fun, and record keeping's neither. So we keep track because journalists want to know how many hearts have been given away from just our home. And after 2.5 years, we have given away over 96,000 hearts just from our home. It's remarkable. We mail hearts almost every week around the country to people who have found us, however they found us, and want to get involved. And we mail them hearts to get started. And then the hope is that they will find local people to make the hearts, and it will just continue and grow that way. I don't know, if it was maybe a year or so ago, I got an email from a woman in Nevada, and she had found us this magic way, however that happens. So they live in a very small community in Nevada, and a lot of teen suicides there. And she's like, I want to do this here. I want to help. How can I help? And I said, well, you just do it. Find people to do it and just do it. We sent her hearts to get her started, and then I don't hear from her anymore. And that's okay. That's how it works. A year later, I get an email from someone else from that same small town saying that a teenager had just died by suicide, and she went to the celebration of life, and on every single chair, there was a heart. This was 1 year later. I'm all goosebumpy. That's amazing. That's just incredible that someone saw a need and decided to use this as part of their healing journey. When we started this 2.5 years ago, I had no idea that would be what this became, but it definitely has. We got one more story I can share. Well, I could tell you stories all night long. So we live about 2 hours away from Madison, our state capital. And a friend of mine, there was a teenager that died by suicide over there. And she was on the swim team. And my friend gave some hearts to the swim coach because it was just about graduation time. And the coach was going to all of her swimmers' graduation parties. And she wanted some way honor. Brooke was her name. And so she was giving out hearts at all the graduation parties. And the mom, who's now my friend, really struggled with, do I go to these parties? How can I go to these parties? And she went to one and she found these hearts. And she is now part of the project. And I've had the pleasure to meet her. And we visit often. And I check in with her and see how she's doing. She checks in with me. And she too is using this as part of her journey. She is, as we speak, planning to have a crochet party where she's going to teach people how to crochet and make hearts and get more people involved over there, which is incredible that I created this thing thinking it would be just me doing this, and it helps so many people. It's incredibly humbling to be a part of all this and to be a part of people's healing.
I just want to say that's really beautiful. It's just amazing how something small can create such a huge impact. And that's sort of why I wanted to bring your hearts to my school, because I feel like mental health isn't really talked about a lot, and you never really know if someone is struggling or not.
Right.
It's really hard to tell if someone is struggling. And a lot of times, because of that stigma that's around mental health, we are also often afraid of like speaking out about our mental health because we feel like, oh, someone might judge us or something like that. And with those hearts, it shows them that we see you, that we care about you. I feel like every time I like pass by the bulletin board and I see like there's less hearts, it makes me really happy, because even though I don't know who that person is, I feel like I did make a difference, that even that small act of kindness made a person's day, you know, just a little better.
Right. And it's this soft entry. Like when if I were out eating and we're leaving the restaurant, I see a table of 4 people having a good time, I'll just take hearts out and set them on the table and say, have a good night. Like I don't sit down and say, let's talk about your mental health and suicide prevention. That's not what this is. It's at a base level. Like I said earlier, it's a random act of kindness. And if that's all it is, that's enough. It's fun when you see who takes it, you set it on their table, and people are always so shocked that someone would just for no reason do something kind, which it shouldn't be shocking, right? But it is. And it's just that soft entry to let someone know they matter. And I love that the 988 Lifeline is on the back of our tags too, so that if they are struggling, it's right there. Speaking of the 988 Lifeline, we recently mailed hearts to North Carolina and Tennessee, where Hurricane Helene hit so hard. And the way that worked is we've been collaborating with an organization in California for about 6 months on different things. And it's an organization called Heart Math, and they do international work around kindness, compassion, mindfulness. They do work with the UN. It's a really neat organization. And she was talking to the director of disaster relief for the Red Cross in North Carolina and Tennessee, figuring out how can California help them. The lady from the Red Cross said, it'd be great if the 988 Lifeline was on your resources. So the lady in California says, well, let me tell you about the Little Heart Project. And I was like, how does that happen? And I got connected then with the director, and we mailed 600 hearts down there for her to use however the Red Cross wanted to use them to help the people down there. When you see a natural disaster, a lot of people want to help, but can't figure out how to do that. And this is just one way. It's just one way to make people know that other people are thinking of them. And I'm not helping them rebuild their house or their city, but it helps, I guess. It's amazing to me that this little thing can help on so many different levels.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like especially in a world like today, it's just very shocking that there's still a little kindness in the world, but there is just passing out hearts or leaving hearts in a random place, right, and someone getting it. I'm sure it makes their day.
Fun for the person leaving the heart too. I've heard stories of people will put a heart somewhere and then they'll kind of hide so that they can see who takes it, which is fun. And who would not want something kind done for them, right? It's for everyone, any age. It wouldn't matter what age group would find it, that, there would be that message of kindness. And we have a group of grade school kids at a local grade school. Our hearts are in the high school and middle school there. And when the grade school guidance counselor found out about that, he contacted me. He said, how can we bring this to the grade school at this level? Maybe not going to use the word suicide at that young of an age, but what can we do? And so we were just back and forth for a couple of months trying to figure out how would this work. And he came up with the idea to make perler bead hearts. The plastic form where you put the little beads on, then you iron it to melt them. And so he has a group of fifth graders that give up their lunch recess once a week to do kind things in their school and community. So they started making these hearts with the goal of making enough to be on every single backpack in that school and every single teacher. And they did that. And the fifth graders would go to the classrooms, talk to them about kindness. And then the fifth graders would physically tie the hearts on the backpacks. The teachers all got backpacks, the lunch people, the custodian, everybody has a heart. So everywhere you look, there's this constant reminder of, it's right, the fifth graders said we're supposed to be kind. And then the kids would bring their backpacks home, and then the families could have a conversation at dinner that night about, what's this heart on your backpack? Tell me about this. And there's just more talk about kindness, that it just becomes this way of life. Hopefully, that's the hope. And the guidance counselor, Matt Jacobson, is just this incredible human being who he's laser focused on kindness. And I just saw him today and was talking about how every single classroom that he talks to about kindness, they don't have behavior issues in that classroom. Such a simple thing, but it's kind of a lost art. And so the more we can bring that back, the better. They've given out their perler beads. They had a big construction project on their school. They gave their hearts to construction workers who have a very high rate of suicide. They gave their hearts to the local firefighters, and they hang in their lockers so that before they go out on a call, they see that heart and that the kids are thinking of them. And it's remarkable, all the different ways. Somebody recently sent me a picture of it looked like they were sewn and maybe stuffed with pillow stuffing. I don't know what you call that. And she's like, are these hearts okay? I'm like, yep, whatever kind of heart you want to use. And there's absolutely no wrong place to leave a heart. I remember when we first were starting, and I was talking to somebody about this, and they're like, well, what if you leave your heart at Target by the shampoo and nobody finds it all day, and then the worker comes through at night to clean up the area and he throws it away? I said, it doesn't really matter. It's almost free because most people use their leftover yarn. Cardstock doesn't cost that much. So that's okay. And I said, maybe the heart was for that worker. Like, there's really no lose here. Just go do it. So we were on our way down to Kansas City about, I don't know, a year or so ago, and saw a sign for Trader Joe's in Des Moines, Iowa. And my husband and I had never been to Trader Joe's. So I'm like, let's go. We had time. I'm like, let's go. Check it out. See what it's all about. Do you have Trader Joe's out in Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we go and we kind of look around. Okay. Now we know what Trader Joe's is. And we left like 20 hearts throughout the store, and on we went. We were going down to Kansas City. The next day, I get a message from a woman, and she sends me a picture. She's holding the heart in the palm of her hand. And she says, I found this heart at Trader Joe's in West Des Moines. And right after I found the heart, I went to the bathroom and I miscarried my baby. And my baby was the exact same size as that heart. You'll never know how much this meant to me. Because you don't know. There are hurting people everywhere, even at Trader Joe's. And she was kind enough to stay in touch with me. That doesn't always happen, which is fine. And they were able to get pregnant again, and they have a healthy little baby now. But I imagine that heart is somewhere in their house because it was just the perfect time.
Yeah. Sometimes they might be going through something really hard. And I think a lot of times people might think that no one cares about them, but that's not true. I used to pass hearts to people and not really put them on bulletin boards. It was kind of like sometimes if my club will host an event like a mental health resource fair, I would put hearts on tables for people to take. And one day my teacher told me that she knows I crochet hearts, and she asked me if you were leaving hearts around the school, which I was confused because I wasn't. And so apparently I think some students were leaving the hearts around the school, and I think it was just making their day. That was really touching to me, and just knowing that there are people that care.
Yeah. Right. And same for you and for me. It's like, we don't have to know who else is doing it. And just the fact that it is that other kids are doing that at your school, it tells you it does matter. And that this little thing clearly touched them. And then they're spending their time, which is our most precious resource, to do this too. And when we help other people, we're also helping ourselves. And it's just a great ripple effect.
Yeah. I would love to learn how has your involvement in this project influenced you and contribute to your growth and your healing?
Typically, when I give an interview, journalists really want me to say that this project has given me a reason to live. So I have struggled with my mental health. I have depression, anxiety, complex PTSD, and suicidality is what I have. And it started because of something that happened in our family. For 8 years, I wanted to kill myself all day, every day. Complete hopelessness. That pit was very deep and very dark, and I was very alone. And this project has not given me a reason to live. What it has given me is I found my people. For 8 years, I lived in a world where I had my husband who will not leave and a therapist who will not quit. And that was it. And in my distorted thinking, because of my mental illnesses, I thought the rest of the world was terrible. Every single person was terrible. Now, I have so many incredible people in my life through this project that I see the good every single day. And I still struggle with my mental health. I still have depressive and suicidal episodes, but they are much shorter in length, and I come out of them much more cleanly. And I'm also getting a little bit better with certain people asking for help, just reaching out and having that connection with people. So that has been my gift from this project is I found my people, and they're amazing. And people who share my values, who value kindness, service. It's so rewarding to know how much hard work I've done on myself has now allowed me to create this thing that helps so many other people. Nothing I ever anticipated, but that is what's happened. So another thing that this project has helped me with is my degree is in marketing. It's not psychology, social work, public health, or education. And I often wonder, why me? Why did I create this thing that helps so many people around the world? Like, why wasn't it a therapist? But why do people feel safe with me and therefore are willing to share their painful stories of love and loss with me? I'm not sure what the answer is, but it happens all the time. And when I'm brave enough to share my story and talk about my mental illness, others open up, and that's how healing happens. My brain is really wired to run a project like this, do the administrative things like this. Love to meet new people. I love to make connections when someone is in a faraway city from me and I can help them figure out how to get this going in their town, and I can simplify it so they can just do it. So it's been very fun to be able to use my marketing brain to just be creative and think, I wonder if this would work. And I've also, after 2.5 years, I'm a little more bold and confident that we have an excellent product, if you will, even though it's free. It's a product that helps people. And so I can feel very confident to just talk about it like that, knowing that it absolutely helps other people.
That's amazing. What you're doing is really amazing. And for me, my passion for mental health stems from my personal journey. But I think that when I started speaking out about mental health, I feel like it gave me a voice and really gave me the confidence to keep on going. And especially seeing how much of an issue today's mental health is. Like, I think there is still a lot of improvements that it needs. Yep. But I think if the more we do things like this, like spreading kindness and speaking on mental health, we can help break that stigma around mental health and really show people that it's okay to struggle with mental health, and that it doesn't make you not normal or crazy or whatever modern media has sort of defined mental health as.
And being brave enough to ask for help is not weakness. That is strength. It's not easy to do that. And I know the waiting list for therapy is way too long, and I get that. But man, if you can find a therapist that you work well with, it's life-saving. It has been for me. Life-saving for me.
Absolutely. I think one of the things is that there's still this view that therapists aren't helpful. There's definitely some lack of trust with therapists or counselors. But I think that you might have a therapist and they're just not right for you. But maybe you'll find another therapist that will be for you. And I think that having a therapist is definitely amazing.
If your leg was broken, you'd go to the doctor. If, people that have cancer, everyone around them knows exactly what their treatment plan, how many infusions have they had. They're bringing them meals and sending cards and all these things. And mental health, what we're working toward is having mental health equal physical health. Because we all have mental health, right? Just like we all have physical health. And like you said, it's okay to do that. And when you're brave enough to say, I'm going to see my therapist, and when I'm brave enough to say, I'm going to see my therapist, that lets other people know that's okay, and they can talk about it too. We've come a long way. I do a lot with the universities in town, and they help a lot with tying tags on and bagging up our hearts and things. I tell them that, they get frustrated that there's still this stigma. And I said, but we've come so far. My parents didn't raise me knowing anything about mental health because they didn't know anything about it. Therefore, I couldn't raise my kids knowing about mental health. And they're not that much older than you because I didn't know anything about mental health. But now there's language. People will say, I have anxiety. Here's what I do. Here's what's in my toolkit when I'm feeling anxious. Or we're going to talk about going to therapy. We're going to change the language around suicide specifically to say died by suicide not committed suicide. Because people commit crimes, people commit adultery. People that die by suicide are not criminals. They're sick. And so changing language also helps reduce the stigma. So I tell the college students, like, look how far we've come in just one generation. And I was talking to a local school superintendent one time telling him this, and he said, actually, Kathleen, it's been 6 years where it's changed. Nothing changes in 6 years. And he's this smart PhD guy who's got all the research to back that up. In 6 years, it's changed significantly. The talk about mental health, the resources available, the 988 Lifeline being available nationwide. People across the country have to dial their phones in a different way now because of the 988 Lifeline. That's remarkable that our country did that. And there are people working hard on all of these issues for us. And I think that all of us really need to figure out, what are we called to do? Because there's a lot of people in our country right now. I mean, our country is so divided, right? And there's just a whole bunch of people who just want to scream and yell about it. That doesn't change anything. What are you going to do? Find something to do. It could be as simple as hold the door for somebody at the grocery store. Smile at someone walking down the street. Like, you don't have to cure cancer to make a difference. What are you going to do? What can you do? What's your skill set? And I just fell into this. Honestly, I didn't anticipate any of this happening, but I don't take it lightly. It's very important work. I offer this incredible thing to help people heal after a loss from suicide of a loved one. And we all need to find, what can you do, instead of just throwing your hands up and being, woe is me, the world's on fire, which it is. But what can you do in your little circle of influence? What can you do?
Yeah, it matters a lot. Like, it really doesn't have to be that large.
Right.
Like you said, just holding the door for someone, or just giving someone a compliment.
And people of all ages. I'm older than you. You're a high school student. There's grade school kids involved. There's college kids. It doesn't matter what age you are. Everybody needs kindness. And the Little Heart Project is just one way. Maybe you've got a different way to do it. But do what you can.
Yeah. As you said, the mental health system, even though there are still issues, I definitely think it has improved a lot. It was much worse in the past than today.
Right.
And I feel like after COVID happened, there was definitely more awareness on mental health.
Yep.
And so it's definitely improving.
Yep.
I feel like that gives us hope that we can create a difference, that we can break that stigma around mental health.
And it's because of people like you that's happening. Because you could have just sat in your corner of the world and not done anything. You could have done that. And instead, you've chosen to use your gifts to make a difference in that world. And you should be so proud of yourself for that.
Thank you. You should also be proud of you yourself. As what you are doing is also really amazing. And
thank you.
For those interested in getting involved with the Little Heart Project, could you share how they might do so?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, if you crochet, you can make hearts. There is a simple crochet pattern on our website, thelittleheartproject.org. There's also a PDF of our tags, so maybe you can crochet and a friend can tie the tags on. Or if you don't crochet, find someone that does, and then you can tie the tags on. You can simply place the hearts in a public place for someone to find. Even if you're not in the crochet world, I have a friend who buys our buckets for us. We put buckets in businesses. There's just small metal buckets that have our logo sticker and QR sticker on it and filled with hearts for customers and clients to take. And there's businesses across the US that have these buckets. And I have a friend who, she doesn't crochet, but she buys her buckets for us. I tell her, we're getting low. Do you still want to buy buckets? Yep, absolutely. Send me the link. So that's the way she gets involved. We do accept monetary donations. There's a Venmo account on our website. Our website actually was gifted to us by a stranger. Very cool story. So we were, like, our project was maybe 6 months old, and a gentleman came into work where I work. I do have a full-time job in addition to all the work I do with this project. But he came in for his appointment. So I was just visiting with him about really nothing. And he said something about kindness, and that's my in. And so I just boldly said, because I did not know what I was doing, can I tell you about this project that I just started? He said, of course. So I turn around, I just randomly reach in the drawer behind me and I just pull out a heart. Again, there are 144 different sayings. I hand him the heart and he looks at it in his hand and he gasps and he goes, that's our family motto. We talk about that every day in our house. What are the chances, right? Mm-hmm. I don't even remember what his heart said. So off he goes to his meeting, his appointment that he had. And he comes back out and he says, Kathleen, I want to give you a .org website. I said, you want to do what? I don't even know his last name. I just met this man. He's like, yeah, that's one of my businesses. He lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin. He said, it's one of my businesses. I'll just connect you with one of my employees and this is what I want to do for you. So my sister, who is our webmaster, talked with his employee and got our website set up completely free. It's thousands and thousands of dollars to do that, completely free. So after it was set up and beautiful, I had this little panic moment because I never asked him about how much the monthly fee was. And the Little Heart Project makes no money. We don't sell our hearts. I hope we never sell our hearts. So I'm panicking, thinking, how am I going to pay for this? And so I called him up and I thanked him, told him how beautiful it was, how easy it was for my sister to work with his employee. And I said, but I feel really bad. I never asked you about the monthly fee and how do you want to work that? And he says, oh, no, there's no monthly fee. He said, really? Thank you. I said, well, for how long? He said, as long as you need it, Kathleen. You don't need to worry about things like this. You just go and save lives. Complete stranger. Amazing. So there are so many ways you can get involved with the project. You don't have to crochet. Simply placing the hearts is enough. Whatever your giftings are, whatever your skill set is, there's probably a way for us to utilize that if you want to do that. So people they can email me. Our email address is on the website. And if they have ideas, I'd love to hear their ideas. And just keeping it simple really is what I need because, again, I do have a full-time job in addition to this. And any way that people want to get involved is amazing. I was just talking to this young lady down in Louisville who wants to get involved. And that's how it works. It's like you find a heart and maybe it's like, that's nice. And that's enough. And maybe it's, this is amazing and I want to do something. What can I do? And then it's simple. You just do it. That's it.
That's beautiful. It definitely can make an impact with just hearts. And I know that there are some people who just might be mean, but I'm just going to keep on going and keep on spreading that kindness, even in a world that could have people who are just not kind. Because I feel like there is going to be a person that I can make a difference in.
Yep. And you at your school, you put our hearts up on a bulletin board, and I love when that happens. There's schools down in Chicago that have bulletin boards up, and I'm sure lots of other places that I just don't know about because people don't have to tell me. And it's so beautiful to put all these hearts up on a bulletin board down in Chicago. It says take two, one for you, one for a friend. And what that does is so you're getting one, but then you're also giving one away. So you're helping yourself by helping someone else. And the numbers of hearts taken, you were talking about this earlier. It shows you it matters, right? Because people could just walk by there and not take a heart. But so many hearts are taken off of these bulletin boards. Life is hard for kids. It's hard. There's so many reasons that life is hard. And if this is just a glimmer in their day, to make them feel a little bit better, that is enough because those are the things that change our world. And reminding people about kindness, because if I give my heart to the barista at the coffee shop, okay, maybe she has a better day at work. Maybe she's more tolerant of people who are not being kind during the day. On her way home, she's maybe a little less irritated with the bad driver in front of her. Like it's this ripple effect. When you show kindness to someone, they're more apt to show kindness to the next person too.
Really beautiful. Looking back at how far the project has come, how has the Little Heart Project grown since it began?
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be just me doing this. in the town where I live. Like, I had no idea that this would resonate with so many people. So in the 2.5 years that we have been in existence, we have given out 96,000 hearts just from our home. We don't require record keeping from anybody else. So just recently, I've just been allowing my brain to think, well, I wonder how many, like just a guess. And so on the low end, what I'm estimating is if I've given out 90,000 hearts just from my house, I'm going to guess that the rest of the world has given away double that. That's a pretty low estimate. So 300,000 lives have been touched because I decided to crochet a heart and leave it at Target. That's unbelievable. Like, it's saying it out loud to me. Like, I can't believe that. And our hearts have been found in, I think we're up to 37 states, multiple countries. We have divisions of our project where we have division leaders that are basically me right where they live. So we've got a division leader in Colorado. So she had a nephew that died by suicide, and she found out about our project and has just grown it. It's just massively out there. Our hearts are in so many businesses and schools, and her middle school son has brought it to his school. And they're basically me where they live. So they promote the project, they get our hearts into businesses and schools and find other people to be on their team as well. We've got divisions in Chicago, in southern Wisconsin, Door County, which is northern Wisconsin, almost in Rhode Island. We're working on that because it should be fun. It shouldn't be work. And so I really try to take care of the division leaders, like checking in with them, like, gosh, that sounds like a lot. Are you sure not biting off more than you can chew? Because I consistently bite off more than I can chew, but I want to take care of other people to make sure, like, it's supposed to be healing, it's supposed to be fun. And we also have division leaders in Canada and the UK. There is a mother and a daughter in Delhi, India that make hearts, and it's just remarkable. It's a universal thing. We're definitely in this country, and I believe the world, we're in a loneliness crisis, we're in a mental health crisis, we're in a suicide crisis. So whatever you can do, the listeners, whatever you can do, I'm begging you to please do it. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be holding a door for someone. It can be letting someone have your seat, or, whatever it is, do that because it matters.
Absolutely. Small acts of kindness can make a huge impact.
I also was honored with a statewide award just about a year ago. So I found out from our state assembly person that he had nominated me for, it's called the Wisconsin Hometown Hero Award. And the committee in Madison selected me, and they wanted to know if I could come down to the state capitol to receive my award in front of the entire assembly, 99 lawmakers. Let me see if I can clear my schedule for that. What an honor. And they gave me 4 minutes to talk to the assembly. So I knew how big of a deal that was. Even though I was the person with the microphone that day, I was speaking on behalf of thousands of Wisconsin families who've lost someone to suicide and tens of thousands of Wisconsinites currently struggling with their mental health. And I spent over 7 hours preparing that 4-minute presentation because it had to be perfect. It was important. They had selected me. They had invited me, and now I get to talk to them. And the day before we went down to receive the award, there were 11 people from around the state who came there to support me and be there with me, which is, again, 2 years prior, I had no one in my life. And now I've got people who took the day off of work, drove across the state to be there to support me, which is remarkable. And the day before we went down, I got an email from the governor's office stating that he doesn't typically meet with recipients of this award, even though it is prestigious and rare. He doesn't typically meet with them. He's a busy guy, right? But he really wanted to meet with me. So I got to meet with the governor, sit in his office and talk about the Little Heart Project, talk about mental health in the state, and thank him for being a champion for mental health in our state. It's remarkable. The things that have happened, again, it was supposed to be just me. And there's been news stories done about our project. There's been newspaper articles. We've been in magazines. I'm on podcasts now. I shrug my shoulders a lot because, like, if somebody asked me to duplicate this, like, I don't I don't know how it happened. It was just the right time with just this simple thing that anyone can do anywhere. It's free, basically. I just shrugged my shoulders. I don't know how it happened, but it does. And then people like you find out about it and want to bring it to your school and your community. And everybody that finds a heart is probably telling someone else about it. And this ripple effect that just goes and goes. Shrug my shoulders a lot. And then just try to not get in the way is what I try to do now. I don't think I've ever said no in the 2.5 years if someone comes to me with an idea. Occasionally I've said, not yet, but never no, because if somebody's got an idea like, gosh, I wonder if we could, because when we started this, I didn't know getting into schools and businesses was going to be a thing. I had no idea. People will say, what's your plan for the future? I honestly don't know, because I'm hanging on for dear life right now. Just trying not to mess this up and keep it simple and just let it spread. And honestly, if it ended tomorrow and nobody cared anymore, I would take that as a good signal. I would think that meant we're good. Maybe there's not a loneliness crisis anymore. Maybe there's not a mental health crisis. Maybe there's no more suicide crisis. So we just kind of keep doing it and keep responding to people and keep making it easy for other people to do it.
Yeah. What you're doing is just amazing, and you're doing a great job.
You're very kind. Thank you.
And I mean, I feel like you never know what may happen. You know, something you begin turns into something big. Like, I didn't even know I wanted to major in psychology. That was not my plan when I first came to high school. But then I guess I just started feeling more passionate about mental health and really starting to see just how much the mental health system needs help. I mean, there's a lot of people that I've talked to who been mistreated by the mental health system, and it makes me really sad. But that's kind of what motivates me to keep on going, to try to like make that change, even if it takes time, even if it's challenging, even if it's going to be hard. I think that I'm going to keep on going, because I feel like, to me, access to mental health treatment should be a right, not a privilege.
Right. I had the privilege to speak to a group. It was a group of about 400 people, and it was doctors, nurses, clinicians, policemen, firefighters, first responders, educators. And my message to them, my main message to them was, please don't lose your humanity when you're trying to help people with mental illness, because we need you. And if you blow it, we may not have the strength and energy to go find someone else to help us. Please, please, please don't lose your humanity. And that's how you know when you have a good doctor, you have a good therapist. They're not going to freak out if you share something scary with them. They're going to want to help you with the resources that they have. Like we were talking earlier, please go find a therapist. Everybody should have a therapist. Life is hard. Life is hard. And we need trained professionals to help navigate that and to help us be able to be well enough to help the world be better.
Also, I think that you don't have to struggle a lot to go to therapy.
Right.
A therapist can help you in any different ways. Like, if you're having a bad day, they're the person that you can go to that can make you feel better. Like, I think that more people should know that therapy can be for everyone, no matter what you're struggling with and how, deep it is.
Right. It's not a competition. Who's sicker? It's not. It's whatever you have. That's it. That's your thing. And to get help then lets you see the beauty in life, because they're going to get emotional. For so long, I didn't see any beauty in this world. And now I see it everywhere. And I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm not saying I'm 100% healed. It's a work in progress. But the fact that I can enjoy a beautiful sunset, and I think some people think like, I need a trip to Greece to have a good life. Well, maybe that's for some people, but maybe it's a trip to a city right next to where you live and doing something fun that way. It can be anything that you can find joy in. And that's the beauty in life. I think the purpose of life is to find your purpose in life. I think that's it. And it's different for every single person on planet Earth. And my purpose in life is not to be an astrophysicist. And there are other people that look at what I do and think, well, that's not my calling. Nope. Find what it is and do something. Find something anyway. Just be kind. In my dream world, I would love to be able to do this full time. I would need to earn a salary. So that would mean we'd have to become a 501c3, which is the government's letters for a nonprofit. And then we'd need grants and have a board. And for me right now, I am at max capacity. I can't do one more thing. And so I really need somebody to come alongside and say, I can do that. And I just kind of keep throwing that out into the universe. That's somebody's calling. And somebody's like, yeah, I can definitely do that. And I think that's the next step. And I'm not looking to specifically grow this. I just think whatever it is, it's enough. It's doing it itself. And I just don't want to get in the way of it. I want to let it just keep reaching people, because it hasn't grown because I've made it grow. It's grown because there's such a need. And I just do what I do, and other people find out about it, and it helps them. It helps them in their healing journey. And it's remarkable. I don't enjoy doing speaking engagements, but I also know there's real value in that. So I see that going forward as well. That's something that will continue to happen. Right now I'm speaking basically in the Midwest, and if it went further than that, I'd be open to that. I work really hard on my presentations to tailor it to the audience I have, and I know it helps people, because after every single presentation, there's a line of people that want to talk to me. My grandma always suffered from depression. My nephew, uncle, cousin died by suicide. I've always self-harmed, because when we're brave enough to share a story, that lets other people know it's safe for them to share their story. And that is how we heal. And we can't do it alone.
Absolutely. For me, I used to suppress my feelings and sort of feel like no one's going to care. But I realized eventually that there is someone out there that cares for you, no matter who they are. Even a stranger, like, they care for you. And I feel like that's another thing that you mentioned, is just seeing the beauty in this world. Even in this world that can be messy, there is still that beauty in the world. And so I think what you're doing is amazing and is really making a difference.
And I'm going to throw it right back at you, because what you're doing is amazing too. And you don't have to do any of this. I'm sure your life is very, very busy. All high school kids are so busy. And, trying to finish out your high school career and get ready for college. And it's all a lot. And you don't have to do this. But there must be a little bit of it that is rewarding for you too, or you wouldn't do it, right? That's not probably why you do it, but that's a byproduct. When you find your thing, it helps other people, but it helps you too. And that's how you find your people. You see less and less of the bad, because I don't have time for that. If somebody doesn't share my values of giving back to the community, serving others, kindness, I can still be nice to them, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that person, because there's too many other people who need what I have to offer. And there's a lot of people who need what you have to offer. Keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. It matters.
Thank you. I think any small thing definitely can make someone's day. I mean, like, maybe the message can be small. Having that and just knowing that there is someone that sees you, that cares for you, can just brighten someone's day.
I got some pictures one night from a high school student on the other side of the state, and her choir teacher had given their whole class hearts. And I have no idea how that happened. It just did, and it meant so much to her. And there was a picture of the whole class holding their hearts, and you could just see it, like, it was just coming out of them, how it made them feel, like you said, like someone else saw them. And so I thanked her for reaching out to me and sharing what she shared with me. And then, because this is what I do, I get on the internet and I find the school and how many choir directors are there? There was only one. So I send her the email and like, are you the one who did it? And she was. I'm like, how'd you find out about us? She said, well, I was at a mental health conference for what she does for a living. And the first 50 people that signed up got a goodie bag, and there were hearts in the goodie bag. Have no idea who did this. Have no idea. And she had saved this bag because she didn't have enough to give to all of her students. So she saved it until this was the day. And she's like, this is the group of kids I want to give these to. So I told her, like, it's just such a great story of how this works. Most of it, I don't know that happens. I don't know who gave them those hearts. I didn't know she was doing this for her class. So I offered to mail her more hearts. And she said, oh my gosh, it'd be amazing. I teach in middle school and high school. If I could get 250 hearts, I could give one to everyone. Perfect. We'll mail you 300 hearts and give these to every kid, because even if it only mattered to one of those 250 kids, that's worth it. And you know it mattered to more than one. And it's so beautiful when people, whatever it is they're doing, but specifically since we're talking about the Little Heart Project, when they take what I've created and use it to help other people, man, that's pay dirt right there, right? Mm-hmm. That's so amazing.
It's amazing. As we come to an end, if you could leave our listeners with one message, what would it be?
I have 3 messages, if I could do that.
Yeah.
So, number 1, we need to change the language around suicide. We want to say died by suicide, not committed suicide. Mm-hmm. Number 2, talking about suicide does not cause suicide. Hopelessness causes suicide. So it is okay to say the word. If you have a close relationship with someone and you feel comfortable asking them, not just, are you okay? But specifically, are you thinking of killing yourself? That's an okay question to ask, because the experts will tell you, if they've never thought of that before, they will not think, oh, that's an idea I hadn't thought of. They won't. It doesn't work that way. But if they are suicidal, you've just seen them and you've helped them. And that leads me to the third thing. If you or a loved one is struggling, please call or text 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, it's easy, and they're there waiting to help you. And maybe if you have a loved one who's struggling and they just can't make the call, you can do it with them. Make a call with them and help them that way. So find a way to be kind, whatever it looks like in your world, and do that, because that's how we fix our world, is we bring kindness back to it.
I love that. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
It's been such a treat to get to know you, and I hope we stay in touch and keep me updated on what you're doing and what's happening in your life. I'd like that.
Thank you. I think when I go to college, I'll probably bring the Little Heart Project there too.
That's awesome. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can. I
you.
enjoy doing that. You're welcome.
A big thank you to our guest for sharing her insights, and to all of you for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Talk for Help podcast. In the meantime, be sure to follow our Instagram @Phila_MHA for more updates and resources. Hope to see you again.